oceans cover 3/4 of the Earth's surface and contain huge oceanic island nations that cover vast areas of the open sea. Many of these islands are built by coral reefs. These reefs are essential to both sea life and human life, yet they cover only a tiny 1/10 of 1% of our planet's surface. But coral reefs are in trouble, and it will take all of us working together to protect this hidden world beneath the waves, a paradise of great beauty and a natural gift on which we all depend and that our children will soon inherit.
Hello, I'm Jean-Michel. I've spent much of my life exploring coral reefs around the world. Today I'm concerned about the health of our reefs. Let me share with you a fascinating story on coral reefs, their beauty and value to people, how human activity is destroying them, and what we can do to save them. Coastal people have a long tradition of using and managing the coral reef. In the past, these people took only the fish and shellfish they needed, and so they had plenty of food for the future. Some cultures created protected areas where fishing was taboo, so fish could reproduce and grow big for future harvests. Now we are coming full circle. Scientists are telling us that the wisdom of creating protected areas is valid, and that marine reserves are one of the best ways to protect and restore coral reefs. We still have a chance to save our reefs and to protect our future. Look at what is at stake.
The coral reef is an ancient paradise where plants and animals thrive in a celebration of color and motion. Tropical reef communities are home to millions of animals that compete and cooperate with each other, sharing the reef's limited food and living space. Here there are thousands of species of colorful residents, 100 times more than in the surrounding sea. All have jobs in their community, a lot like we do in our cities and villages. Sharing, sometimes competing, often cooperating. It's true that coral reefs are always changing, and that what is destroyed by nature is balanced by new life. Reefs grow, are broken down, and grow again, some only a millimeter a year, but enough to create coral reefs hundreds of meters high. Corals are living animals, small polyps with tentacles, an animal barely the size of a papaya seed. These tiny animals are the builders of the reef. Billions live together. They are able to use the calcium carbonate that is in seawater to create limestone skeletons like solid rock to protect their soft bodies and construct the foundation of the reef. Remarkably, corals thrive in tropical oceans, which are low in life-giving nutrients. How do they survive in these empty oceanic deserts? The coral animal has a partner. Tiny microscopic plants called algae actually live in the coral's body, using sunlight to make food and giving the coral its color. The algae use the waste from the coral for fertilizer, and in return, the food they make feeds their coral hosts. It is one of nature's perfect partnerships. Because corals have nearly as much plant tissue as animal, they grow like plants and branch out like trees to have maximum exposure to the sun. This solar-powered recycling system benefits both partners and enables the coral, working with its algae partners, to build these massive reefs. For thousands of years, coral reefs have been able to renew and restore themselves, but now they are facing serious threats from the demands of increasing human populations worldwide. To save our coral reefs, we need international cooperation, and we need to take action ourselves now. Look at the following problems and think about what you and your community can do. Worldwide, burning petroleum fuel in motor vehicles and the wasteful use of energy produce carbon dioxide and other exhaust gases that accumulate in the atmosphere, preventing Earth's heat from escaping into space and warming both the climate and the oceans. Even slightly warmer water harms corals because it causes the coral's partner, the algae, to be expelled, revealing the coral's white skeleton, a phenomenon called coral bleaching. If the water cools, bleaching is temporary. The algae return and the corals live. But if warm waters last too long or occur too often, corals die. With international cooperation to stop global warming, our reefs can recover, starting with tiny larvae that settle and grow on dead coral heads. So there is hope. Deforestation, even miles away, is another threat that indirectly kills reefs. When entire forests are cut down, topsoil runs off the land into rivers that drain into the sea. Once a valuable asset on land, topsoil in the sea becomes a deadly threat to coral reefs. A fine blanket of topsoil covers coral colonies, choking and killing them. Agricultural runoff and sewage from farms, towns, and cities flow out of pipes onto the reef, dumping fertilizer and extra nutrients. Although some fish thrive in the short term, in the long term, the entire reef suffers. Corals do not benefit from additional fertilizer. In fact, the runoff is dangerous. Fast-growing seaweeds thrive on introduced fertilizer and quickly smother the corals, changing a healthy reef into a monotonous, seaweed-covered graveyard. These impacts affect reefs worldwide, and sometimes start far away from the reef itself. But there are other things that we ourselves can change immediately, right here and now, today. For example, harmful fishing practices can be stopped. In many places, fishermen harvest the reef using dynamite. Blast fishing is illegal, but often the law is not enforced. It will take a reef like this many years to recover. Fishermen in some countries spread cyanide, bleach, or the toxic roots of plants, which not only poison the fish, but also kill other reef inhabitants. once again, nature is the innocent victim. What we do makes a difference. Anchors destroy corals. Lost fishing traps continue to catch fish no one will eat. Trash carelessly thrown away clogs reefs and gets eaten by animals that mistake it for food. As population increases, more and more people take anything and everything from the reef. Coral is mined for construction materials, and fish are over-harvested, destroying the foundation of the entire reef ecosystem and threatening the future of the reef itself. There is not an endless supply. Today, the reef community is collapsing. Nearly all reefs have fewer large fish, lobster, giant clams, and other edible species than when our parents were born. 27% of the world's reefs have already been destroyed, and we may destroy nearly 50 to 60% in the next 25 years, unless we take immediate action. So, what can we do? In spite of all these problems, there are solutions and ways we can help to save our reefs. We know from history that coral reefs can restore themselves if we give them a chance. First of all, we need to create marine protected areas with no fishing zones. These are places along the reef, but not everywhere, that are closed or taboo to fishing, where fish and shellfish are protected so they can grow bigger and produce more young. As more fish survive in these protected areas, which act like nurseries, many leave and swim into nearby areas where fishing is allowed. This is called the spillover effect. In some places, in just 2 years in marine protected areas, the number of fish almost doubled. So in a short time, we can reverse the problems of overfishing, and we can create larger catches, bigger fish, and more variety than before. Sometimes it takes traditional practices like taboos combined with modern science to make marine protected areas work. Whatever it takes, protected areas are good for the reef and are good for the people of the reef. Together, local islanders and scientists can survey and monitor coral reefs to observe changes and to measure success. Local management enables communities to protect their own resources for the future. Protection also means there will be no destruction from anchors, dynamite, or chemicals, and that everyone respects the boundaries of the marine protected areas. Another reason to protect the reef is ecotourism, which can provide jobs and bring income to communities. Thousands of diver tourists visit healthy, protected reefs, and responsible ecotourists take nothing and contribute money to local economies. Healthy reefs also depend on healthy mangroves and seagrass beds that trap sediments from land that would otherwise smother reefs. They also serve as a nursery for many reef species. Reefs, in turn, protect the coast from storms and coastal erosion. All these things help protect the coral reef. But there's more to the reef than just corals. The reef itself is home to countless species that create a complex web of life. To save the reef, we also have to save the many amazing animals that are doing their part to keep the reef healthy. For example, we know that seaweed can quickly overgrow coral. It's the parrotfish that keep the seaweeds under control. They scrape the excess plants off the reef and bite into the reef itself, which they swallow and return as sand. A parrotfish can produce up to several hundred pounds of sand a year, and some of that sand becomes our beaches. Other animals keep the reef clean too. Sea cucumbers are one of the reef's garbage collectors. They vacuum sand and organic matter, which nourishes them, and return the sand cleaner than it was before. Sponges are also part of the cleanup crew. They pump water through their porous bodies like filters, trapping food and cleaning the water. A diver injects milk into this sponge to show how effectively sponges pump water. A group of sponges can clean all the water over their reef every few days, contributing to the overall health of the reef. How else does the reef stay healthy? With doctors and dentists, called cleaner fish. They eat the parasites and diseased skin from their bigger patients and get a free meal. They're safe because fish recognize them by their colors, and it would be a big mistake for them to eat their doctors. Each of these animals contributes to the vitality of the coral reef and the web of life. Their stories are important to understand how the reef works. Education is still one of the best tools we have to help villagers, government officials, politicians, resort owners, fisher people, and especially children understand the importance of coral reef protection and how to use the reef while protecting it. To begin immediately to protect the reef, we must create marine protected areas, eliminate harmful fishing practices, stop overfishing, and stop polluting coral reefs. Healthy coral reefs give us a good quality of life. They protect us by giving shelter from storms. They feed us with their abundance. They attract people everywhere with their beauty. And they are natural treasures that have taken millions of years to build. Now it is we who must give back to the coral reefs that support us. If we start now, it will take only a few years to restore their health. We owe it to our coral reefs to do everything we can to save them. Protecting the reef now will be our gift to the future.
We must stop the destruction of coral reefs. We are all responsible for protecting our reefs, for ourselves now and for our children tomorrow. We must stop harmful fishing practices and create marine protected areas. We can also pressure other countries to change their bad energy habits. If we all work together, we can save our magnificent coral reefs. And we must act quickly. Our grandchildren will thank us for what we do now.